on the mountain, in the valley, in the crowded streets, on the empty desert, in our hope, and in our waiting, we are never alone. God is with us.
Hey everyone, welcome to day 1 of our 28 days in the book of Matthew. If you're like me, when you started reading today, you look at the genealogy in the first couple of verses of the book of Matthew and you're thinking, why do we have the genealogy? Why is it important to know who and what and when and at what point? And what's important for us to know and realize is that Matthew is writing to a predominantly Jewish audience. And so before the book starts, before he begins to recount, before Matthew begins to tell of Jesus, he wants to set the stage. And he's setting the stage by saying, hey, this Jesus that we're about to talk about is none other than the descendant of David and of Abraham. And this is huge for a Jewish audience that would hold these two individuals as some of the highest in their history. Abraham, the patriarch, the man of faith that went out when God told him to leave his land and to trust in God. And then David, the great king, the man after God's own heart. And so here Matthew's making the case that Jesus is the very descendant of two of the greatest men that you hold dear in your history, according to the Jewish people. So what's interesting is that as you transition from the genealogy, making the case of this pedigree, of this amazing background for Jesus, and then this takes us to our first glimpse into the parents of Jesus. We're told that Mary and Joseph are engaged to be married. They're betrothed. And while in that engagement, Mary is found to be pregnant. And you can imagine what happens. Mary is pregnant, but it's not Joseph's doing. And so here Joseph is in the middle of a conundrum. He has to decide what to do. And so Joseph is trying to figure out what are his options. When an angel appears to him and says, hey, this child is a child given to Mary and to you from God. Believe in what we're saying. Believe Mary's word, because this child is going to be great. Not only is he going to be great, he is going to be the Messiah. And you're going to call his name Emmanuel, God with us. One thing that's very interesting about this is that from the very beginning, Jesus' birth and his life is deemed illegitimate. For everyone looking around, though there's this pedigree behind him, Jesus enters into the scene, into a context that his family, the wider community, that the people around would look at him and say, you don't even know who your dad is. And Jesus is brought into this moment where his very birth seems illegitimate. But what's interesting throughout the ministry of Jesus, as we'll see in these next couple of days, is that Jesus never allowed the dictations and the words and the ideas of man to influence who he was. He allowed God, through prayer and connection daily with the Spirit, to dictate who he was. And the beautiful promise for us today, as we begin and embark in this journey, is that the very Jesus that came to this world was named Emmanuel, was given the name Emmanuel, God with us. So the takeaway for today is that no matter what we're going through, the God of the universe is the same God that is with us. May you have courage today to know that God is with you in everything that you go through.